last 2 years, we've all lauded the leadership of Tim Payne and the job he's done to when he's captaining the team, bringing Australia through this really tumultuous period. Okay, maybe in the last 2 games he hasn't quite been at his best, but it's been a huge series, a lot of pressure, and he even admitted, that he wasn't quite at his best after the Sydney Test match. So to have 1 or 2 slightly below par games and to have his whole job put on the line, I think grossly unfair. I think he's done a very good job over the last few years for Australia leading the team, and I think it would be hugely destabilising to the Australian team if they did want to throw out the captain now when we're so close to an Ashes series. So I think a lot of the criticism has been unfair towards Tim Payne, and look, I'm sure there's not going to be any knee-jerk reactions from inside the Australian camp. He's highly regarded. I'm sure he would have learnt a lot in the last couple of weeks, especially going through this series, and you do learn from your losses. So, I think he'll come out of this a better person and a better leader, and I do think it's unfair that he's been so harshly criticised around the world.
As we say, quite a few negatives stemming from this result for the Aussies, but for India and for cricket fans, if you can apply a bit of impartiality to it, it was a great win. Given all the adversity that they faced in the lead-in, do you consider this their best ever Test series win?
Well, it's got to be right up there. Unbelievable performance from the team. As you said, so many challenges along the way. That they've been in a bubble for a long time, these players, coming from the IPL into the Australian bubble. And in some ways, maybe that's brought them tighter together. And the adversity that they've had to go through, has really built some team spirit there, and that fighting resilience that they showed throughout that last Test match. They were phenomenal. They've actually got a lot of depth now in Indian cricket. Obviously with a huge population that helps, but the structures that they're putting in place below the national team is really unearthing some of these quality young stars that haven't necessarily been able to shine on the big stage, but they've certainly shone in this last Test match. Unbelievable performance, and it's probably one of the toughest and most resilient Indian teams that I've ever seen.
Yeah, of course. As you say, they've certainly shone, but they also did shine a light on some glaring issues for the Aussie side, aside from the captaincy, which a lot of people have kind of called into question, you not necessarily agreeing with that, but other aspects that might have been, that have been called into question. What do you think? Where did they go wrong in this one?
Well, I think where the Australians will be slightly disappointed is from a batting perspective, is there were some players that were playing really well and got some good starts, but weren't able to kick on and make those big match-winning centuries. We saw Steve Smith do it at the SCG. We saw Labuschagne score 100, but they're the only 200s Australia scored in the last 2 series against India. So, Matthew Wade's someone that's copped a lot of criticism as well, and there's a lot of question marks about his place in the team. I actually think Matthew Wade's in brilliant touch. He's batting really well, and he managed to get some good starts, but the disappointing thing was he threw his wicket away a couple of times and didn't turn those 40s and 30s and good starts that he got into most big match-winning hundreds. If he had have got a couple of hundreds, no one would be talking about Matthew Wade's position in the team. Travis Head was another one. I thought he was batting really well at the MCG. Gave his wicket away when he was on 38, and unfortunately he's lost his place in the team. So there was a number of times that the players got good starts, got themselves in, but couldn't go on and play those big innings that you need, because at the end of the day, you need guys, you need to be piling on big first innings runs and obviously scoring runs in the second innings to give the bowlers something to bowl at. I thought the bowlers stuck at their task really well, and there's been a lot of talk about how good the Australian attack has been. Nathan Lyon was probably a little bit below his best. The Indians played him particularly well, but all in all, the Aussies gave it, the bowlers gave it everything, and yes, there'll be some criticism for the Aussies. I think we need to give a lot of credit to the Indians, but perhaps if I could criticise one thing, it'd just be I just wish the batsmen were just a little bit more ruthless in turning those starts into bigger scores.
Yeah, you touched there on the bowling as well and the efforts of Nathan Lyon. Do you think his, not failure as much, but his struggles to claim as many wickets as he possibly could have put a bit more pressure on that pace attack and did contribute to them not being able to bowl India out on day 5 in back-to-back games? It's something that we certainly weren't preempting.
Yeah, I think it definitely had an impact. No question about that. Tim Payne, he can quite often just turn to Nathan Lyon to bowl from one end, build up a lot of pressure, bowl a lot of overs, and then that enables him to rotate the faster bowlers around from the other end, and they can get a good breather. But with Nathan Lyon not taking as many wickets and probably not bowling as tightly as he has in the past, it meant the fast bowlers had to come back and bowl a lot more overs. And they did have Cameron Green there to help out as well. But again, I think Nathan Lyon was probably the pick of the Australian bowlers a couple of years ago. The Indians have obviously gone away, done some homework against him and played him a lot better throughout the series and certainly gave Nathan Lyon a few headaches. But, you know, we all know Nathan Lyon, he's a 100 Test match player. He's been a great player for a long period of time. You'd expect those great players to bounce back and bounce back pretty quickly.
Yeah, I want to touch on Dave Warner as well, because there was so much chat around, obviously, at the start of the series that he wasn't 100% fit for the 2 tests that he did play. Do you think he should have been rushed back in the way he was?
Well, I think they had to rush him back. You know, he's a class player, world class, and any team that's got David Warner in it is a better team. Yeah, he didn't look 100%, but I think they got him as close to 100% as possible. Unfortunately, it's tough for him. He's coming up against a good bowling lineup. He hasn't played any red ball cricket for a long, long period of time, and so just to be able to come back in straight away and have an impact is certainly going to be a challenge. But I think if I was in the Australian camp, I would have been willing and trying to get David Warner back into the team as quickly as possible. He threatened in the second innings at the Gabba, but obviously, unfortunately, couldn't go on with it. But we know he's a world-class player, and yeah, I think, yeah, as I said, it's having David Warner in the Test team is better than not having him in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we say, plenty of players looking to bounce back quite quickly. They have a chance to do that in this Test series in South Africa, provided it all does go ahead. It's looking pretty positive at the moment. But what changes would you make to this Aussie side, considering everything we've just discussed?
Yeah, it's a good question. To be honest, I wouldn't change much. You know, I'm not looking to make wholesale changes in the bowling side to things. Okay, we'd probably have to sit down and have a good look at the batting and just see, okay, have we got the best batsman there? And are those players, are they going to be ruthless enough that when they do get in, they're willing to go big? And I'd be sort of looking for players that have a pedigree of scoring really big scores. So obviously we hope that someone like Will Pucovski can overcome that shoulder injury and he can get a good opportunity and get some Test matches into him before the Ashes series. So he would be a big plus. But as for other guys, it's been difficult to judge because all the other players have been playing Big Bash cricket. They haven't had the opportunity to play Sheffield Shield cricket for a few months now and really bang the door down with big scores. So to be honest, I wouldn't be looking to change too much, but I would certainly be looking around to see have we got any other better batting options out there.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see where all the pieces land. Finally, just before I let you go, big story today regarding the Big Bash, dropping Australia Day references. What are your thoughts on this one, just being referred to January 26 now?
Yeah, I'm not sure really. I only heard about this today myself, and obviously, I guess what I do like is that Cricket Australia has gone and consulted and communicated with the Aboriginal leaders and elders to get a better understanding about what Australia Day means to them. And I guess I'm becoming more educated as well. And so to see that Australia Day is really a tough day for a lot of Aboriginals for the way their families have been treated over the years. It's certainly educating me, and so I'm trying to get a bit more awareness and a bit more understanding of that, and I guess a bit more empathy for what the Aboriginal people have been through over the years. So yeah, it's a difficult one because obviously I'm a proud Australian. I've loved Australia Day over the years, but I haven't had a full understanding and appreciation of how tough it's been for a lot of people. You know that suffer. You know, it's a day of suffering for them, I guess. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, for sure. And as we say, initiatives like this will help with that education. Michael Hussey, thanks so much. We'll chat to you again soon.
No worries, Kath. Thanks a lot.